Picture a shoreline, not the coast of Britain today, but something far older. A place where animals cross what we now call the English Channel on foot. A time when the edge of Britain wasn't really an edge at all, because once upon a time, not even that long ago in geological terms, Britain was not an island. This mini-series is about the moments that changed the shape of Britain, and I mean literally, the coastlines, the rivers, the hills and the valleys. So in this episode, we're going back, way back, to a moment of unimaginable force and even more profound consequence. A time when a narrow strip of land disappeared in a roaring flood, and everything that came after was shaped by the waters that took its place. But before we dive in, let me introduce you to Elia. She's not a queen or a warrior, but a Mesolithic woman, living somewhere on the chalk hills above what we now call Kent. And though her name is imagined, her story is rooted in what archaeology, climate science and geology tell us. Because Elia lived in a time when the landscape was changing beneath her feet, and her world, quite literally, was about to fall away. If we were to rewind 10,000 years, we'd see a Britain unrecognisable to us today. The last ice age had ended, but the glaciers still lingered in the north. Vast rivers carved through the tundra. Forests were beginning to spread. And between what's now Dover and Calais, there was no sea, just rolling plains and marshy inlets. We call this lost world Doggerland, and it wasn't some narrow land bridge, it was a vast expanse, almost the size of Britain, home to herds of animals and the hunter-gatherer peoples who followed them. Elia, our composite character, might have known those plains well. Perhaps she'd crossed them with her kin, carrying flints and bone tools, following reindeer or elk. Her sense of home was shaped by movement, not borders, but that would all change. Because even as life flourished, the waters were rising, the earth was warming, and something was coming. But what was it that finally broke the land? And how do we even know it happened at all? In the early 21st century, scientists began to understand something extraordinary. Seismic surveys and seabed cores taken from the North Sea revealed the signs of an ancient megaflood. Roughly 6,200 BCE, a wall of water hundreds of feet high in places came roaring south. It had started far away, off the coast of Norway, where a massive undersea landslide, known as a Storegga slide, had been triggered by shifting post-glacial sediments. That collapse sent a tsunami surging across the North Sea, and when it reached Doggerland, it erased whole landscapes in hours. Some scientists think Elia might have lived to see it, that she and her family may have fled inland, watching the sea swallow their hunting grounds. Others say the waters had already risen too far, and Doggerland was just a watery marsh by then. But the result was the same. What had been a single landmass was now two. But could one flood really do that? And what does it mean that we only discovered Doggerland's existence so recently? The story of Doggerland's rediscovery begins not with archaeologists, but with oil companies. As they surveyed the North Sea for drilling, their sonar picked up strange shapes, riverbeds, dunes, lake basins, all beneath the seabed. Since then, archaeologists like Dr. Vince Gaffney have worked to map the landscape in detail. They've reconstructed rivers where people fished, coastlines that moved with the tides, and even potential settlement areas, now buried in 30 metres of water. From dredged fishing nets, we've recovered tools, bones, and even worked flints, traces of the people who once lived there. It's hard to overstate how dramatically this reshaped our understanding of Britain's past. For centuries, we thought of the island as isolated. Now we understand it was once a crossroads. But once Britain was cut off, how did life change for those who remained? Elia's descendants lived in a different world. The sea had closed in, and Britain was no longer a peninsula. It was an island. This mattered in more than just physical terms. It changed the plants that could spread, the animals people hunted, and the tools they made. Technologies like farming and metalworking reached the island later than they did the continent. Isolation slowed transmission. And yet, in that isolation, something else emerged, a distinct culture. Stone circles rose from the earth, barrows dotted the hills. Trade continued, but through boats, not feet. The island had become its own world and its own story had begun. But that story wouldn't remain insular forever. A new kind of connection was coming, one that would leave its mark not just on culture, but on the very shape of the land. Because soon, another power would arrive, one that believed in straight lines, hard roads, and empire. So what happens when an island meets the Romans? Aelia's world is long gone now. The sea rose, the land vanished, and in time the people changed. But the shape of Britain as an island, bounded by coastlines, shaped by rivers, cut off yet connected, that still holds. Thank you for walking a little further down the road that made Britain with me. The story winds on. Try this one. I think you'll like it. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.